And we're back with the latest edition of the Mark Petroni radio program right here on Saga 960. So very glad you could join us. And it is time once again for Crypto Talk with Benjamin Dichter, who is our crypto enthusiast. He's the guy who's guiding us through the minefield, guiding us through the minefield of crypto, helping us to understand what's going on here. We saw, the volatility around the price recently. It's always volatile. But, I guess Benjamin's argument is set that aside, focus on the fundamentals, focus on the future of cryptocurrencies. And as more and more people seem to be gravitating towards cryptos in order to deal with the inflation issue. And so we're seeing that around the world where prices of stuff continues to rise. It's rising because of basic economic fundamentals. And we know what those fundamentals are because anybody who's listened to this show and heard from economists knows that when you print trillions of dollars, well, guess what? It's eventually going to lead to inflation, meaning the value of those dollars is going to decline by less. And so you go into the grocery store and guess what? You're spending more money for things like meat and poultry and produce and all that kind of things. And one of the areas that people are looking towards is kind of a safe haven, not only as a safe haven, because if I understand the mentality behind a lot of people who invest in crypto, they see it as the future. This is where we're going. Whether you like it, whether you believe it, doesn't matter. It's happening before our eyes. And so, Benjamin, thank you once again for coming on this show.
Thanks, Mark. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Okay, so let's talk about all right, so there's a Let's Go, Brandon. There's a Let's Go. I know we shouldn't be doing this, right? We shouldn't be talking about Let's Go, Brandon, in terms of its relationship to crypto. But then again, maybe it's important because it does speak to the level of cynicism around fiat currencies and certainly to the level of cynicism around the current administration in the United States, which I think is polling in the 30s now, in the mid to high 30s. Heck, he's almost on par with Justin Trudeau in Canada. But talk about this. So Let's Go, Brandon is a cryptocurrency now. Is that correct?
Well, what's kind of funny and shocking is who would think that the Let's Go Brandon coin, and its tag, by the way, is $FJB. You can figure out what FJB stands for. But it's shocking that the most popular president in American history by a large margin has a meme coin that's essentially there to attack him, to show how much people dislike him. I'm shocked.
All right. I got to ask you, does something like this hurt cryptos or does it help cryptos? Because people are going to look at this and go, okay, it's a stunt. And so does it kind of discredit other cryptos or not?
I guess it depends on your mindset and the framework that you come from. So people who come from, the gaming sort of tech industry, they do a lot of things like this, and they play, I don't want to say play games, but they have fun with things. Like, for example, there's a utility token that's used on the Binance blockchain for DeFi, which means decentralized finance. Don't worry about what that means. But their utility coin is called PancakeSwap, and the ticker is Cake, CAKE. There is Uniswap, which is basically the logo is a unicorn. It's based on a unicorn. So these people kind of take things in stride. They're very much like, think of Elon Musk, right? What has Elon Musk done to Tesla cars? Well, he's put video games in the car that you can, when you're parked, you can use the steering wheel while you play a video game on the screen. He's incorporated a fart noise into the car that if somebody's sitting in a specific seat, you can press a button on the screen and get the little gag coming out of the entertainment system. So in the newer, maybe because people are so much younger, but in this new crypto, Bitcoin, decentralized blockchain financial system, people are younger and they have a sense of humor, unlike the legacy system. And that just might be because of the demographic and the general age of people. And it's just another example of it. Somebody said, oh, this is great. Let's show how popular Joe Biden is, and let's create the FJB coin. It is what it is.
But is it worth like buying? I mean, people are going to look at this thing and think, well, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, what happens when, say, they hold a coin, it goes up in value, and then we find out that he's being pushed out of office, he's no longer president or whatever, he becomes a joke. I mean, then the F Joe Biden meme goes out the window, the Let's Go Brandon thing goes out the window, and what happens to your money?
Well, remember, it's a protocol, right? It's a place where you park your money, and it's likely to go down with these altcoins. I mean, so many of them are speculative, and that's the problem people in the financial sector have, differentiating between Bitcoin and, in this case, it's a BSC20 token, and they're completely different things, right? So one is built on an existing blockchain. One is the blockchain, for lack of a better term. It's much more complicated than that, but just for simplicity purposes, so people understand. Anybody can create a blockchain, and it takes 15, 20 minutes to program. It's pretty simple to do. But it's a matter of, is there community support? What's the white paper? All that sort of stuff. But people do this, for fun, as a joke. That's what Dogecoin is, the one that Elon Musk was pumping and supporting, and they're trying to figure out how to turn it into a legitimate coin. Dogecoin was basically, it's a meme coin. It's a joke that makes fun of Bitcoin just for fun. And the reason it's a joke and a meme coin is because its inflation rate is 1 million coin a day, which is the complete opposite of what Bitcoin is with a fixed supply, right? So you have a lot of people in the gaming community. They're just having fun with us.
Yeah, well, they're spending money on it. I mean, it's like, yeah, let's have some fun and lose money. I mean, nobody, losing money isn't fun, if you want. So I don't know. Maybe I'm missing the point here.
The younger techie generation doesn't take money quite as seriously as everybody else does. Remember the cynicism of this generation. They think the whole game is rigged and fixed. It's all funny money. They're never going to be able to own property. They're not going to have the same standard of living as the previous generations. So that's why you hear the term YOLO all the time, right? You only live once. Whatever. Let's put $500,000 on this joke coin just for laughs and see if it goes up or down.
Okay, Benjamin Dichter joining us on Saga 960 and the Mark Petroni Show. He's in the Toronto area. Okay, so did I hear you say that you could start your own coin, in about 20 minutes? Did you?
Yeah, you can.
Did I mishear you?
You can program an ERC20 token in 15, 20 minutes. Pretty simple. That means it's a token that's built on the Ethereum blockchain.
So it doesn't cost you millions of dollars. I mean, you could do it like literally at your computer. Okay, I'm going to start a cryptocurrency today. I'm going to call it the Petroni.
Yeah.
How could
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, just log on to the. You have to have the programming skills, right? You have to be able to program a smart contract. All of these tokens, they're essentially smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. That's why they're different. They're just a smart contract that's divided up into whatever quantity of coins they have. Versus Bitcoin and the Ethereum blockchain is an actual blockchain, and Bitcoin has this proof of work infrastructure, all these servers that are mining it, and all that. That doesn't happen with an ERC20 token. You just program a token, and boom, it already exists.
All right, so theoretically, there could be, everybody can have their own coin. I mean, somebody's going to put out a piece of software or an app, right, and say, here, start your own coin. Just follow the app, and you two can have, we can have a Dichter coin, a Petroni coin, a Justin Trudeau coin. You know what? I hate to say this, but actually, a Justin Trudeau coin would probably do pretty. It would probably do pretty well, even as a joke.
Yeah, that's where you see a lot of these pump and dumps. People get involved in a project and they'll throw a ton of money into it. They'll inflate the value of the token, and then it'll collapse shortly after, right? But the thing is, that's what makes, I think Raoul Pal was explaining this when he got into Bitcoin in 2013, 2014. It's not like the legacy financial system where if they're over leveraged and they've lent out to XYZ corporations billions of dollars, and all of a sudden the market collapses, what do? They go to the central bank and say, pay up, we need money save us. Well, it doesn't work that way in the crypto market because everything's on the blockchain. Everybody can see how much leverage there is because there are people that you can leverage up to 100%, 100x in the crypto market. So what happens is periodically people get shaken out of the market. The people who are the speculators who took the big risks and the big gambles, the equivalent of our banking system and the legacy system, they get shaken out of the market. They lose their money and everything goes on. That's the difference. There's no socialization of the process like there is in the legacy system.
Yeah, all right. I'm just wondering whether that will erode the credibility of
No, it strengthens the credibility. Like, I'll give you an example. Remember in March in 2020 when Corona hit and the entire world stock market hit and whatever, Bitcoin crashed, everything crashed. I can't remember what the day it was in March. That's when Bitcoin went to $4,000. But what happened? People that were over leveraged in the market for crypto with Bitcoin, they were just shaken out. They took their losses and went on their way. None of the exchanges went bankrupt. None of the exchanges suffered any losses. There was no reach out to the government saying, oh, we have, these markets are, we're too big to fail and all of our employees are going to be able to. None of that. That doesn't happen in the crypto market. The people who have taken the highest risks are the ones who will benefit the best if things go their way, but they also will be the ones to lose. Unlike our legacy system, where the taxpayer pays for these degenerate gamblers, banks, right?
Right. Speaking of degenerate bankers, Christine Lagarde. Okay, so she's what, the president of the European Bank, the central bank.
Now,
so
she's the president of the European Central Bank. Yes.
All right, here's a lady who was asked about Bitcoin. Can we hear what she had to say? Have you got a minute? Let's listen.
Yeah, please.
So for hundreds of years, governments and central banks have issued currency, and the currency is used for things to buy things, sell things, and so forth, and to price assets. Now, some people have come along and invented various things called cryptocurrencies. Central banks are trying to adjust to what that means for them. So do you think that cryptocurrencies are a plus for the global economy, or is it too early to tell?
Cryptos are not currencies, full stop. Cryptos are highly speculative assets that claim their fame as currency, possibly, but they're not. They are not. I think we have to distinguish between cryptos that are those highly speculative, suspicious occasionally, and high intensity in terms of energy consumption.
Nails on a chalkboard.
They cause climate change. They're causing climate change, Benjamin.
On the other hand, you have those stable coins that are beginning to proliferate.
They cause Trudeau to wear blackface.
To promote and push along the way, which are a different animal. And
are you going to make me find a blackface meme somewhere?
That corresponds to the
maybe she wears blackface.
Conducting, irrespective of how
Justin.
They name themselves.
Let's listen to her now.
And in all that, you have the central banks who are prompted by demand of customers to produce something that will make the central bank and central bank currencies fit for the century we're in, which is why we're now all looking at CBDC, central bank digital currencies, so that instead of having banknotes and cash in our pockets or in our wallet, we can have exactly the same thing. But
the end of cash. These guys want to get rid of cash.
All of us are working on this, and certainly I was keen to push the CBDC issue on our agenda, because I believe that we have to stand ready for that.
She's trying to save civilization here from you.
Oh yeah. So you asked about the cynicism before. That is Christine Lagarde, former head of the IMF, who was walked out the door because she in handcuffs because she was found guilty of criminal charges. She committed fraud while head of the IMF.
And what happens? She gets another plum job as president of the ECB.
Yeah, so now you understand the cynicism of younger people that think this whole
I understand why there's a Let's Go Brandon coin, But I got to throw to break. Can you hang around for one more segment?
Yeah.
Got to take a quick commercial break. Back with more on NewsTalk, Saga 960, The Mark Petroni Show, and Benjamin Dichter after this. And we are back with more on NewsTalk, Saga 960. So very glad that you could join us to start your work week right here on The Mark Petroni Show. I have Benjamin Dichter, our teacher, if you want to call him that. You don't like guru, I know that.
No.
Crypto guru? No?
No.
He's our guy. He's our guy that's helping us process what's going on with cryptocurrencies around the world. We just heard a soundbite, a clip of Christine Lagarde, whom, as you point out, is a fraudster and a convicted fraudster. But somehow these New World Order globalists, arch globalists, just always seem to land on their feet. And Christine Lagarde, no exception now, as she is the president now of the European Central Bank. And surprise, surprise, she thinks Bitcoin is a scam. There's something unseemly about it, or seamy about it, rather. Unseemly, seamy. Just something not quite right about Bitcoin, according to Christine. Does anything these central bankers say hold much sway these days, or have they basically lost more and more of their credibility to the point where, as you say, an entire generation of younger people, not just in the United States or Canada or anywhere, is now saying, you know what, I don't care what you have to say anymore. I'm buying a Let's Go Brandon coin.
You mean, so you're to suggest we should listen to the central banks that appoint a criminal fraudster as their president? I'm waiting for them to appoint Bernie Madoff, because that's probably next, right? Like, that's how credible she is. Like, she's disgusting. Like, it's offensive to the point that, like, these central banks, I think they're just trolling people at this point. They're just having fun with the rest of us, which is why the crypto sector and these younger people are trolling them back with the FJB, Let's Go Brandon coin. It's a response to it, right?
All right, so it's cynicism playing out in the marketplace. Is that what you're saying here? And if there's a mocking element to it, but somebody's getting rich. Somebody's getting rich here, Benjamin.
Yeah, a lot of people in the crypto sector are, for sure. And it's a small group within the legacy financial system. It's the same group, and we know who they are. It's the same group that's been, in power of the legacy system for decades, that are benefiting off of all of this. We all know that.
Okay. Right? All right. So there's no real Canadian coin that I know of that kind of does the same kind of thing as the Let's Go Brandon coin. How about a Trudeau in blackface?
Let's Go Blackface coin? You want to create Let's Go Blackface?
How about, what would happen if right now you decided on a lark, and you yourselves have said, well, there's a mocking element of to all of this. If you were to start a Let's Go Justin or Let's Go Blackface type of coin associated with these images, some people find them offensive, and they are offensive, and that's why he was forced to apologize. But what would happen if you made a coin out of it? Would anybody bite?
I'm sure somebody's, if they haven't thought about it already, if somebody's listening to this, it's already in development. It's only a matter of time.
So you haven't heard definitively one way or another.
No, there's so many altcoins that are on the market now, and that's why, I try to, even though I'm in that market a little bit, I try to just focus on Bitcoin and focus on kind of the base level and get people to just understand this market that's evolving. Because if you start with, hey, this is Pancake Swap or Blueberry coin or whatever, they're just going to get lost. They're not going to understand the culture around it. Whereas Bitcoin, we have our latest country. You ready for this? Tonga is to adopt cryptocurrency in the same manner as El Salvador. So they're going to make it legal tender. So again, small country. It's all going to start with small countries. Now, they're not going to go to altcoins or, the Blueberry coins or whatever, that sort of stuff. They're going to start with the reserve currency of the crypto market, which is Bitcoin. And they seem to be making that leap to do it.
Tongan MP plans bill to make Bitcoin legal tender. a member of Tonga's parliament plans to draft legislation to make the cryptocurrency Bitcoin legal tender in the kingdom. Well, you know, I would until I reached that last word and found that it was a kingdom. I was with you, and then I find out that Tonga is still a kingdom. They still have a king, like an actual king.
Don't offend our listeners from Tonga who are listening to us on NewsTalk Crypto on YouTube. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. So everybody in Tonga who's excited about this Bitcoin bill, share, and subscribe NewsTalk Crypto on YouTube. Okay,
so the NewsTalk Crypto, tell me a little bit about, well, okay, we got to finish talking about Tonga. I mean, okay, so Tonga is I'm sorry, nothing burger little country. God bless them. I'm sure it's full of great people. I don't know anybody who's Tongan, but I'm sure they're wonderful. And now you have two countries, though, and then there were two. So Tonga and El Salvador. And what happened to El Salvador when they announced what they were going to do? They came under attack, did they not? The IMF
from Christine Lagarde's friend.
Yeah.
You know, that communist babushka who runs the IMF. I can't remember her name. I think her name is also Christina, but she looks like looks like she was plucked out of the Soviet Union. Like she doesn't realize the wall has fallen. And that's who's running the IMF. So they are threatening, I guess they're threatening El Salvador, as well as now the Bank of England has raised concerns over El Salvador's Bitcoin embrace. Yeah, raised concern. Well, you can do the same thing yourself, or you can just be left behind. It's synonymous with people who said, oh, who needs the internet? It's a fad. Oh, who needs email on your phone? It's a fad. All of these things. People are not very good with predicting where things are going, but you can see in the numbers the adaptation rate of Bitcoin far exceeds the adaptation of the internet, because now you're dealing with people's money and people want a safe haven. They're insecure in terms of what's happening culturally around the world. Like you see all these protests in Austria, Australia, all across Europe, Italy. People are fed up. Those are the people we're supposed to trust. The people who are locking us in jail, they have our best interest at heart. And by the way, they appoint a criminal fraudster as head of their central banks. No, I don't think we're going to trust them anymore. That's done. It's over with. And this is the alternative.
How much damage can the IMF do? The International Monetary Fund. These guys lend money. Okay, obviously they do it. They don't do it out of the goodness of their heart. Obviously, there's an agenda here. They want to gain control of the agendas in these countries and so forth. But if you've got small countries and they owe money to the International Monetary Fund, and guess what? All of a sudden, they want to take up Bitcoin as a way to improve their economies and wipe out the fraudsters in their own respective countries as far as money is concerned, and banks and so forth. I mean, they face a massive backlash from the likes of the IMF, who are going to say, no, you don't. You don't get to do that. You don't get to go rogue El Salvador and Tonga. Get back in get back in jail with the rest of you, because you owe us. And if you don't do what we say, well, we're going to call your loan. You owe us hundreds of millions, if not billions and billions of dollars, and we're going to bring you to your knees. But do they have the whip hand here as far as these countries are concerned? Should those countries be worried as a result?
Well, okay. There's a lot to unpack here, and this is kind of my theory, and I've been trying to disprove it for some time. I just sent you a link from an article that was run, I guess, about a year ago. I can't see the date right now in front of me, but this was with the Belarusian President Lukashenko, and this is what I think is going on, and this is how it's all related, and why the IMF is relevant to all of this. Lukashenko, it's from September 2020. Lukashenko claimed, and you trust him or not, I don't know, but let's give him a little bit of leeway, right? And let's assume he's telling the truth. According to Lukashenko, he was offered a bribe from the IMF to impose extreme lockdown measures, to force them to wear face masks, to impose strict curfews, impose essentially a police state, and crash the economy. And he was offered $940 million from the IMF to do that. Why? Why would they do that? Well, because what they are offering were SDRs. Now, SDR is the IMF's version of funny money. The same people that are criticizing Bitcoin. It's their funny money they print out of nowhere, and they give it to these countries. And their argument was, well, if you crash the economy, don't worry, we're going to supplement it with IMF SDRs for any, shortfalls that you're going to have, just to carry you through this
SDRs.
process. Yeah,
Is that like
these IMF SDRs, special drawing rights. Special drawing rights is what
so
it's called.
access to pools of cash.
That's right.
Okay.
But it's their version of cash. It's their own money supply that's based on a basket of fiat currencies, if I'm not mistaken. Why are they doing that? Because if countries move to the SDR, what are they replacing SDRs with? They're replacing U.S. Treasury. So right now, the U.S. dollars, we know, is the global reserve currency. This is a method for them to remove the U.S.'s reserve currency status. And as we know, China has been trying to do this for 15 years. And all of these organizations in Europe are suffering from political entryism from people who are sympathetic to China or are these modern type communists. So my question is, how much are these lockdowns tracing back to the fact that these babushkas in Europe and the CCP want to remove the US's global reserve currency status? I think that's why we're all locked down. This is a cheap and easy way for people like Justin Trudeau, who've been spending money like water with their refugee programs. How are they going to make up that shortfall? Well, they're going to get these SDRs from the IMF, and they'll put that into the Treasury, as opposed to holding U.S. Treasuries to weaken the U.S. dollar.
So you're saying, are you suggesting that Trudeau himself may have been offered a crap load of money surreptitiously?
Oh, I don't know. Trudeau doesn't know what day of the week he is, but that Trudeau Foundation.
Neither does Biden.
That's true. Well, this is the strategy in both places: is you put Manchurian candidate, a dummy who has no idea what's going on, and then they run things behind the scenes. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, this is just speculation. I can't prove this. Okay. But the Trudeau Foundation, just ahead of his election, their donations went through the roof. And those donations came from China, people who are sympathetic to the Chinese government.
Yeah.
So,
wow. Belarusian president, here you go, claims that the IMF and the World Bank offered him a bribe to impose COVID restrictions. It's a wonder, is this guy still breathing? Because
he is. Shortly after this, he became the world's greatest white supremacist, racist, homophobe, Islamophobe, every phobe in the world. Right around there is when you saw the smear campaigns against him. Now, I don't know if he's corrupt or not. I don't know much about Belarusian politics on the grounds. But it was interesting that once he went public with this statement, that all of a sudden he was tarred and feathered in the global media.
Yeah, no surprise there. And of course, if you want to even go down further into that rabbit hole, you also had, once the lockdowns began, a couple of assassinations, right? You had, I believe it was Haitian, the Haitian leader. He was taken out. And I believe there was an African leader as well who was taken out. So it was just bang, bang. We hadn't seen any world leaders taken out in years. And then as soon as all this stuff started, there you had a couple. And I guess some were speculating that didn't want to play ball with the globalists. And this guy went rogue, and lo and behold, all of a sudden he's the worst thing on planet Earth. Okay, before I wrap things up, because it's time. What's coming up on in the world of crypto, and what's coming up on newstalkcrypto.com? What do you got planned?
Well, I think we're going to reach out to. We're getting more people listening to us, and I hope the people who are listening to you are following you on your Substack and following Mark's writings.
Excellent idea.
And there's some important things to remember about crypto. The couple important thoughts I'll give you to end off with. One was Glen Greenwald's quote. Now, Glen Greenwald is a lefty. He's a lefty I disagree with a lot of the time, but he's at least honest and objective. And he's been warning about the radical left now. And as he said about Bitcoin, he recently released a statement about it. He said the implications of Bitcoin technology is beyond just a currency, and especially its potential for decentralizing power, enabling genuine privacy, and preventing corporate and state control of information. It is in its infancy stages of understanding, but it's coming. And that's why, when people talk, what's the price today, what's tomorrow, whatever, that's why I'm not so concerned with it, because it's the longevity of the network and where it goes. And then for people who are considering it, is it an investment or speculative or whatever? I like Michael Saylor's statement, and that is Bitcoin is not only property you can truly own, as well as the first technology capable of granting property rights to everyone on Earth. In time, we will come to understand that it is concentrated energy in digital form and critical to the progression of our civilization. He also ended that interview to explain that Bitcoin is the only real property. And that's very important to understand. The IRS has listed Bitcoin as property several years ago. And it's property that you have not at the will of the government, like your real estate. You have your real estate because the government protects property rights, just like it protects individual freedoms, right? Well, with Bitcoin, you don't put your trust in the government. You put your trust in the protocol, and the protocol is self-governing. Nobody controls it. And that's why it's the safest form of property. And that's why it's going to be huge over the long term.
And that's why scumbags like Christine Lagarde hate it so much. Okay, thank you so much, Benjamin Dichter. Really appreciate this, as always.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, Mark.
And that's it for me on this edition of the Mark Bertoni Show. Hope you enjoyed it. Absolute blast bringing it to you. Let's do it again tomorrow, shall we? See you then. Bye-bye for now.